Let's take a quick trip out to Norman, Oklahoma to start. George Stoya of Sooner Scoop, bringing you all the juice over there, along with Eddie Radosevich, who's Norman royalty, along with Kerry Murdoch. Phenomenal stuff over there, so get dialed in. John Mateer is the story for a number of reasons. Obviously, with what he brings via the transfer portal, brings a lot of hope, brings a lot of optimism, brings a lot of leadership. That's the intel right now, is that his leadership, not just during spring practice a few days in, but also during winter workouts, it's a very tricky thing to walk into a locker room and to have a position of leadership, but to still have to earn that leadership. Sounds like John Mateer has done that. And in addition to that, what I was told from the folks over at Sooner Scoop and people close to Norman, Oklahoma, is that the offense, again, just a few practices in, different vibe to it. Now, a season ago, this was not the vibe that you were having. A season ago, you were saying, well, young quarterback, yes, new OC, all these things, can we make it work together? That's not the situation right now in Norman. They think they're going to be pretty good offensively, and a lot of it starts with John Mateer. Another part of that, though, is who you have on the offensive staff. Yes, Ben Arbuckle, but y'all, I said this when he got hired. John Kuzieski, he is one of the best football minds I've ever been around. I don't know how it happened, y'all, but Cornell got him for a couple of years. He is on the staff essentially as a quarterback's coach of sorts. I'm not sure what the official title shakes out to, but essentially he's a massive help in the quarterback room. And one, his relationship with John Mateer is obviously paying dividends with him and the rest of his teammates in Norman. But what it does is, what I was told is Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, is freed up during the individual periods to go and visit with different position groups to make sure everyone's on the same page. So when you trust your offensive assistant and John Kuzieski to be able to run the quarterback so you can go and oversee other parts of the offense, what that does when you're installing a new offense just accelerates the learning curve for everybody. So last thing I'll say on Mateer, the way that he's also helping teach everyone else the offense, one thing we said, when he gets to Norman, he's going to be learning where to eat, where to get that haircut. I hope he's not getting the locks cut anytime soon, but maybe get it cleaned up a little bit. He's learning where Norman, where to go in Norman for different things. He's not learning the offense. He's got that dialed in. And it sounds like he's done a great job bringing everyone else up to speed. I believe he said during his press conference he's got the guys out there throwing twice a week. That's good vibes. That's good spring intel, and that's a very good thing if you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Another good thing if you're an Oklahoma fan, Giovanni Gibson, transfer wide receiver from Arkansas Pine Bluff, big dude now, 6'2", 216. A name that keeps on coming up when you ask folks about Oklahoma spring football. One thing I'll say, when you're trying to get a gauge for what's real during spring practice, because I said spring propaganda, it's running rampant. We love it. We appreciate it. But if you want to try to get a gauge for what's real, I would pay attention to frequency in terms of how often people are mentioned. Giovanni Gibson's name, frequency at a high level. That means he's doing good things. And you got to peek at that via the Oklahoma social team. John Mateer dropping a dime to a well-covered Giovanni Gibson for a touchdown. I tweeted it out. That was enough for me to say, okay, where do I sign for the over on the win total? Got my daughter's college fund burning a hole in my pocket. Where do I put on Oklahoma? I'm not there yet, but that led me that direction. On the defensive side, David Stone, former five-star cat. I've been told he is a breakout candidate on that defense. Getting some more reps because there's some injuries across the defense. He's added some weight now, y'all. This isn't just, he's added 17 pounds and he's faster and we're just giving you spring propaganda. No, legitimately, I'm being told that he's added some good mass to his body. And with what this Brent Venables defense has been historically, they are at their best when they are ferocious on defense. It's kind of how college football works. But nonetheless, hearing David Stone and all his potential that he has to be able to seemingly put that together thus far, very encouraging if you're an Oklahoma fan. Now, the secondary. Speaking of injuries, a little bit dinged up on the back end so far. It's a bit of a question mark to a degree, and I say that while also reassuring you everyone in Norman feels pretty good about that defense. I just tell you that there's some holes to fill maybe on the secondary to make sure you know when they go to the transfer portal here in the spring and go get a DB or whoever they end up grabbing. That's not because they don't feel good about the defense. It's because they think they have some positions of need. So something to keep an eye on there out in Norman. But overall, they still expect that defense to be very solid under Brent Venables. Last thing I'll mention defensively, with Brent Venables going to be calling the defense in 2025, what I've been told is we're not going to see his fingerprints on that defense until it comes time for them to actually start game planning. So during spring practice, a lot of assistants having their hands in the pot, but when it's time for them to prep for a game, when it's time to get ready for Michigan, Brent Venables will be dialed in and calling the defense, and that's when we'll get a better gauge for how it's going to look under him. Don't expect it to look extremely different, but when you have one of the best defensive minds in college football as your head coach, it makes sense for him to get past the sticks, call the plays, and I'm all here for it. So that's Oklahoma and the spring intel we're hearing right now out of Norman.